Well, hello there, and welcome back to Japan Around, where we've had quite a special day here in Hiroshima today.
Special. Interesting.
Well, it was special.
So it's
We,
hopefully a once in a lifetime.
so, I had been, I came to Japan with the tail end of a really bad cough, and it was getting a lot better. But apparently, like since I came to Japan, it got worse and worse and worse, and then pretty much last night it was pretty bad. It was very hard to breathe, and sort of Jen was up on death watch,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that I continued to breathe. It was that bad, and we didn't go to the emergency room last night, but we did go today, and so it was really a good thing we went. And it was really, as an American, and especially as a foreigner who doesn't speak the language, really, it's kind of an intimidating experience. And what was actually even more challenging was even finding some place to go.
Yeah, so can I? So the first thing that we did the first thing that I did was last night at almost midnight. I went downstairs to talk to the front desk attendant to ask them what we should do, and he said that he would call us a taxi to take us to Hiroshima City Hospital to the emergency room if I needed him to. And I told him to hold off, and then I went back upstairs and watched Alan until he fell asleep, and then we were up like every hour or so while he coughed. So I had an idea of where maybe we should go today, but we also decided that we should use some of the other resources that we had available to us between our health insurance and some medical travel assistance with one of our credit cards. So I spent an hour and 48 minutes trying to get help from the fine people at Capital One from our Capital One Venture X card. It took quite a few tries to get to the right area, but we did eventually get the email with the information we needed while we were at the hospital. So Alan ended up Googling.
Yeah. Well, while Jen was doing that, I was actually contacting the nurse line for my company's healthcare. They unfortunately did not have anyone in network or associated here in Hiroshima, and so that was sort of a dead end. And yeah, I was like, okay, I gotta go somewhere. I did go to Google, and we found a hospital a short walk away, and off we went to the hospital. And so we went in, and there was no Japanese there, and
No English.
I'm sorry, there was no English there. There's no Japanese here in this room. Well, maybe a little, but we went there, and basically their ER department wasn't running today, and they were very nice to us and very accommodating. They took the time, and I'm sure it was a frustrating time, to communicate with us, to tell us that they didn't have anyone there, where we should go, and so they told us to go to the municipal hospital, and then they offered to call us a taxi. They told the taxi where to go, and they were just so really kind, and they really wanted us to get the help that I needed, and even the taxi driver kind of drove like crazy
I mean,
to
he's
get
the
there.
guy you want if you're trying to win $1 million on The Amazing Race. Like,
Right.
he is the taxi dude.
Well, I kind of thought that maybe he just didn't want me to die in his cab.
That too.
Had too
That
much
too.
paperwork or something. Anyway, we get to the hospital, and they were a little surprised. It's actually interesting because there was about four different like office workers there doing paperwork where you check in, um, and they had we were able to get through. They had some paper. They had something to show me in English, and one of the first things they did show me, and I was ready for this, is that, are you going to pay for this when you go, because no one else is going to pay for your medical care, and I'm like okay, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is going to be a big bill, but I need to get this done, so I got signed in. They had an English form for me an intake form, and then they came out and they got a number, literally a number.
Like, if you're at the butcher counter.
Right, it was number 124, and they call you by that number. And they also needed my name in, wrote it in Roman letters, but They don't deal with Roman letters. So I had to go and give them my name in katakana, which I happen to have because I had to do that before. So it was kind of interesting to have been known by that. So at any rate, I get my vitals done at the triage. That went pretty well. The person doing the triage had this translator, this little thing. It's like it's smaller than a cell phone that basically would translate, and that most of the time you could talk into it and it would translate to the other language. So that worked pretty well, along with my rudimentary Japanese. And then I got seen by a doctor, and thankfully, the doctor did speak English. He spoke English much better than I speak
She was
Japanese.
so apologetic. She was saying that her English speaking skills were not that good, but her English was absolutely impeccable. She was fantastic.
Yeah, and she was very warm and caring as well,
Yes, she really was.
made things a very stressful situation for me and Jen much better. And so she did say though that the purpose of the emergency room is not really to treat people; it's sort of just to keep them from dying. And that like if we walked in as a Japanese person, they would basically say, okay, well here's they would give me a treatment, a nebulizer treatment, and then say, well, you need to make an appointment with a pulmonologist. And since we're leaving Hiroshima tomorrow, and as difficult as it was to find a hospital, finding a pulmonologist would have been even more difficult. So we asked if they could give us the drugs that we needed, and she said she'd check with her boss. And but I was pretty stressed that I wouldn't actually get really taken care of. But
And I just also want to just interject for anyone who might be watching this who doesn't know us. We have doctors in our family, and we spent some time talking to them about Alan and his symptoms, and they gave us the recommendations of the medication that he would need. We weren't just using Google to diagnose Alan and make suggestions to the staff. So I just want to throw that out there.
yeah, and so they ended up doing the full workup on me. They took a chest X-ray, they gave me a nebulizer treatment, and then they came and prescribed me the steroids and the like breathing drugs that I need. And they were just so kind. I mean, I think in a way kind of I felt a little bit like an anomaly. Like there was a lot of people who were kind of coming in and looking. I don't think it was because of my condition, but everyone was really kind, and
And the doctor came out and talked to me while Alan was getting his nebulizer treatment so that I knew that his chest x-ray was clear. And she wanted to also understand our travel plans for the coming weeks just to see. I think she wanted to get Alan to go see a pulmonologist, but she was so lovely and so helpful and just a really good doctor.
So we finish up, and I get the drugs right there in the emergency room. They come all together, and the doctor explained it. It was very, very efficient. And then it's time to leave, and I was like, okay, it's time for the bill. And so Jen went away, and she was in the bathroom at the time, and they have this machine. So there's basically like a payment machine that you go to that looks like an ATM that accepts money. It accepts credit cards, it accepts cash, all kinds of stuff. And so the person, I guess the payment person, was there to help me with the machine because it doesn't have an English setting, right? This is not where tourists go. And so she presented me with the bill, and I was really afraid. And it was, oh well, shoot, 17,603, but that's in yen. So I was like, oh, I'll pay that in cash. So what that actually turned out, with the exchange rate where it is, the bill for the entire emergency room visit, and collecting the medicine, turned out to be about $133 US.
And one of the medications that Alan got is something that if he were to be prescribed it in the United States and pay out of pocket, it would be over $100 for the amount that he received. So just for one medication.
Yeah. So I think that actually it actually turned out, even if you add in the airfare, and hotel, I think I actually did a little bit better coming here to Japan to go to the emergency room.
All things considered.
Yes, but yeah. Well, I could talk for many hours about how screwed up the U.S. medical system is and how much it could get better and how angry it makes me.
But this was a really blatant example for us because we've always known about how the healthcare system in the United States is not great as for people who are underinsured. But to experience what we experienced today and compare it to what people go through in the U.S. it was really startling. It was a lot less than I expected. Half
Yeah.
of what I expected.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm feeling so much better now, and I'm looking forward to recovering completely and enjoying the rest of my trip. So thanks for anything else you wanted to add?
The only thing I would say is just, when you're traveling abroad, don't be afraid to go use medical services if you need it. Don't try to tough it out or anything like that, because chances are it's going to be something that you can afford and you can handle, and it's a lot better than being miserable while you're on your trip or doing more damage to yourself.
So anyway, well, thanks for watching this kind of a little bit different episode, and if you want to follow our travels through Japan, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you later.